Hello viewers, Super GT here, welcome back to another video. So this one is the Group 4 race, Daily Race C, around Interlagos. An 11 lap race, and it turns out it's a fairly tactical race. Mainly comes down to tyres. It really is a tyre saving battle, this one. But it's also going to turn into a very defensive fight towards the end of the race. So, let's get straight into it. Fourth on the grid, I've gone with Ferrari. Now, of course, I've gone with Ferrari for the manufacturer, so I'm fairly familiar with this car. But we're going to come up against a range of different cars, which is good to see, actually. Because usually, these races are often dominated by one car or two cars. But there's a lot of different choices on offer for this one. Lots of people going for different cars. So we're going to see the Jaguar, we're going to see the Alfa, we're going to see the Hyundai there. See a few different cars throughout the course of the video. So, straight into the race. As pretty much always is the case, you're going to tuck into the slipstream and just try to settle into the race. As the guy ahead has almost failed to do immediately in the Jaguar, as he had a bit of a mistake through the exit of Senna-S. So coming down towards turn 4, we're going to go side by side, braking just on the 100 board. And on the inside we go, just leaving him a bit of space on the outside just to run the curve. We're going to take that third position immediately. So we just spoke about the braking points, and that is actually something really, really important when it comes to these races where your tyres are just going off and off and off and off. Basically, the longer the race goes on, the more you have to brake early. I said that really badly. The earlier you have to brake as your tyres begin to go off. That's the correct way of saying it. And that is something you have to really focus on quite a lot. As I've always felt that, not just in Gran Turismo, but most racing games, if you get your braking point right, it really sets you up for the rest of the corner, and you'll do well if you get your braking points right. The rest will follow. So we find ourselves in third at the end of lap 1 in the Ferrari, just trying to keep with the top 2, but immediately I've been dropped 1.6 seconds behind, so it wasn't the best first lap. The first lap is always an important lap, as it can really dictate the rest of your race, especially if it's one of these races where you're saving tyres or you're saving fuel, because the instant that you lose the slipstream, it makes your life a lot harder. So I'm not going to fight this move too much, as this Jaguar comes back at me. He had the straight line speed and the slipstream. I thought, okay, just go past. I don't want to fight too much, because if I defend there, then we're going to lose even more time. So hopefully this guy can get a move on, and we can just stick behind him in the slipstream and then begin to catch back up with first and second. That's the idea anyway. Doesn't always work out that way, of course. So going down the back straight with a Hyundai in tow of all cars. Don't often see that car being chosen, but he's doing quite well at this point. An 11 lap race then, and the main thing, as we've said, the tyres really important. So with the brake bias, just trying to work out which of my tyres are going to start wearing out. And for this race, you really want to preserve your front tyres. Therefore, you ideally, a lot of the time, want to move your brake bias towards the back to preserve your front tyres. Now, the Jaguar ahead, not really lapping particularly quickly here, so I let him past in the hope that he would actually, go a bit quicker. He did qualify ahead of me, so he should be faster. But that lap there wasn't really the best. As we pan out here, you can see just how close it is. So the top 2 have broken clear, as we receive a nice little love nudge from behind. You can see just how close and cosy it is between the pack behind, and it was the guy at the back of that pack who we're going to have to look out for, the guy in the orange Alfa Romeo 4C. Now the Alfa Romeo 4C is a very different car in terms of the way that it performs, because it has pretty bad top speed. Down the straights it's pretty slow, but it has really good tyre wear. So for a race like this, it's going to do well, especially at the end of the race. So do look out for that orange car coming through. But through Senna-S, lap number 3, we've been dropped a little bit here, 0.9 seconds. It's still within slipstream range, but we don't want to let this guy ahead get too far ahead. Otherwise, again, I'm going to be out of the slipstream range. It's going to be very difficult to keep up, as I'll have to put in the extra effort on the tyres, wear out the tyres even more, and use more fuel, although the fuel is not a problem in this race. You can quite easily get to the end without any fuel saving at all. So I'm on the PS4 Pro, and a lot of people have asked, is it better, is there an improvement? I think you might be able to see it with the replay angles. Whenever we cut to the alternative angles, for example this one here, I think you might be able to just see that it's a little bit smoother. The FPS just seems a bit higher. Just the quality of how it looks is better, basically. And that is something I really noticed instantly when I was playing on the Pro compared to the old PS4. Just the better frame rate. In the replays it's certainly very noticeable. Even when you're just playing it's very noticeable. And hopefully you can see that difference in the image quality and the frame rate on YouTube videos. Of course, when you're watching YouTube videos, it's always going to change the quality slightly from when I was playing it on my screen. When I'm playing on my screen, it's going to look really good, but then as soon as you upload it to YouTube, it changes things a little bit, it compresses it. The quality isn't as good, but hopefully it's not too bad. Okay, so crossing the line to begin lap 4, and we're going to turn into a 3 abreast here. I'm in the middle of a Jaguar sandwich, and the guy from 5th jumps immediately up into 3rd. It was a really good move. I wasn't sure if he was going to go for it because I was really on the limit of the brakes, and the Jaguar behind just comes flying up the inside and just does the pair of us and gains 2 positions. So I've lost one there, as has Mr. Bismarck ahead of us here. And as he goes into this corner, he just touches the grass, and it's going to send him slightly wide onto the AstroTurf, and he's going to lose a couple of positions. The Russian behind having a similar experience and getting quite familiar with the wall on the inside. So it's all kicking off behind. I'm just trying really to avoid getting swallowed up by this pack. It's really something you don't want. As soon as you get attacked and overtaken by a big group, you can just really get abused quite hard, and that's really not what you want. I would definitely not recommend that. So I'm really trying here just to stick in the slipstream of the guy ahead and just try to make sure the guys behind don't start overtaking, because once you're in that group, it can often spell big trouble for your race. And it really does pay just to make sure that these laps here are good laps, as the guy ahead just has a really similar episode to Mr. Bismarck earlier on this lap. Just runs 2 wheels slightly wide of where he would have liked, and it completely spins him out. And we gain a position. We also lose a position to the Hyundai. I guess I was distracted for that final corner as I was busy looking at the guy spinning off into the Shadow Realm, and I distracted myself and missed my braking point. This let the Hyundai through. So still in 4th, I started 4th. You see the top 2 really beginning to pull away now. The leader is 6 seconds ahead, and the guy in 2nd about a second behind that, so about 5 seconds ahead. So they're really easily pulling away. It really is a battle for 3rd, and you see just how close it is. The Alfa Romeo coming through that pack slowly now. He's in about, where would that be, about 7th. As we come down the Rita Aposta, down towards turn 4, braking just on this 100 board, and that was actually a little bit too late, but not too bad actually. It was actually okay. But we spoke about this earlier, the changing braking points. So for that corner there, turn 4 down the hill, we were braking at the start of the race. You can brake on the 100 or just after, and then by the end of the race you're braking definitely well before the 100 board. So you're just scaling that braking point further back every time. And the Hyundai here running wide, so it seems like a theme of the race. And the Group 4 cars, as he gets a penalty, Group 4 cars are typically very understeery, and that's something you're going to notice. If you look at the bottom left of the screen when the HUD comes back up, as we look up the inside of the Hyundai, is the 1 second penalty. Alfa just in tow immediately behind. I might as well go for this move here. So if you look at the tyre wear, it's actually fairly even front to back, so it's not too bad, but still I still recommend trying to save the fronts more than the backs, as in Group 4 you just really need the front end grip more than you do in Group 3, I'd say, because these cars are just so understeery. It's absolutely horrific. Coming through that middle sector, you turn and nothing happens for about 8 years while you're applying for some grip, and then they eventually come back to you and say, oh okay, yeah, you can have some grip now, you can actually turn in. So it does take a while. There's a delayed process with these Group 4 cars, it feels like, especially on a race like this, where your tyres are dying of death very early. So lap 6, we've still got 5 to go, and we're sitting in 3rd, and it's going to be a defensive race from here, because you look 1st and 2nd, 6.5 seconds ahead, 7.5 seconds ahead. It's not going to be a case of trying to catch them up, because it's just not going to happen. Not with 5 laps left to go. I have to be somehow more than a second a lap quicker than the people who are at the front. It's just not going to happen. So now it's just about trying to break this toe and get rid of the attentions of the drivers behind. So you're going to see a lot of defensive driving from here to the end. But it's something I would say I'm okay at. It's not one of my strengths really to be on the front foot attacking with the best pace out of everyone in the race. Normally it's more about being tactical and putting your car in the right positions, and in a 1v1 fight with someone normally come out on top with the tactics. So you're just trying to play to my strengths here as we come up off turn 5 up the hill, and the Hyundai about 1.3 behind, so ideally I need to get above 1.5 and then I'm out of that slipstream range. That would nicely help, but instead the Alpha gets through and that gap comes below 1 second as we make another mistake through that final corner onto the back straight, turn 12, and you can see the Alpha now definitely within my wheel tracks. Fortunately for me, he doesn't have a very good top end, so he's not going to overtake me at the end of this straight. But what you will notice is actually, I lie, he may well go for the move because the brakes are so much better. With that with the front tyres going off, your braking capacity is really bad, essentially. As you come through here, through the right-hander, you really do have to maximise the curb abuse. Stewards do look away now. So through the centre rest onto the back straight, and the Alpha is firmly there. You can see he's right there now. And you saw earlier in the race, he's right at the back of the pack, but has just made his way through slowly and calmly. Bit of contact through here. Now this is going to be the big difference. I'm going to have to brake really early for a lot of these corners because I just have no braking ability as the car's tyres begin to go off. That Alpha is just so good on its tyres that it's got such a big advantage in terms of the handling and the brakes. So I'm going to have to go really, really defensive from here. And it's pretty much a case of looking at the radar half the time and looking at the track half the time. So I'm just trying to sense where he is basically by looking at the radar. You see he's right on my tail. So I can look back here. This is an overtaking opportunity this corner. So take quite a narrow line, force him to the outside, and again I can see it on the radar. Don't go too far, don't overshoot in the corner, and give him a chance on the way out. Just really park on the apex, and then accelerate when you need to. So through turn 11 into turn 12. Is that clock? Is that clock? Is that Glock corner? Is that a clock? No, it's not a clock. It's Glock maybe. But on this occasion, it's a madman Frenchman who's hell bent on trying to overtake and get this podium position. It's not Glock at this point. It might be Glock. Maybe Glock moved to France and he's called himself Magmatic 54. I don't know. Could have done. As we cross the line to begin lap number 9, and we have 3 laps to go, the onslaught is going to continue on the brakes into turn 1. So I've judged that just okay. I think the main thing really is not to trail brake too much. So trail braking when you're braking and you're turning in at the same time. It can save you time, but it wears your tyres out, definitely. And actually, I think when your tyres are worn, it seems to extend your braking points or your braking distance, so it actually doesn't help later on in the race. So just trying to brake in a straight-ish line and then meet the apex. So you see just how close he is now. It really is on me. Fortunately for me, the Alpha just really doesn't have great top end. So it's this section here where he's actually going to be okay. It's down the main straight and towards turn 4 where he isn't going to be okay. But this is the difficult section really, just having to go really narrow, sort of set my stall out early to say, look, I am going narrow, you're going to have to go the long way round. And again, out of the exit of this corner into the next one, he's still right on my tail, just having a quick look behind and having a look at the radar as well. Still right there. Parking on the apex, nothing you can do about getting past through here. Through the left of 11. Now, I'm okay if he goes up the inside into the final corner. I'm not too unhappy about that. He does look up the inside. Is he going to go for the move? I do go very wide. You see the chronic understeer. I applied to turn in for that corner about 9,000 years ago, and I've only just got the receipt, and they've actually finally let me turn in because it's just such a delayed effect when you're trying to turn in. Trying to break that toe desperately down the main straight, and you see the massive lack of top end speed. As he actually got alongside us coming out of the final corner, but then I just easily coast away into turn 1, parking on the apex, still just doing enough. And I think at this point here, it's really a case of sticking to your guns. It's very easy under pressure just to try to brake a little bit too late try to beat the guy ahead. It's really about just positioning your car in the right place and then braking where you really need to brake. So I'm going to brake still just before the 100 board, I think. It looked like just before. Park on the inside, force him to the outside. There's no way around there. So he's going to have to stick behind for now. Coming up the hill. Again, is he quite close enough? Maybe if it was a big lunge, but I'm going to turn in quite early. Actually, I'm going to trail brake into this one just to really cut off that overtaking opportunity. And again on the exit, not going too wide, and then just cutting in towards the apex, although missing the apex, receiving a nice tap in the rear end. He's on my right hand side. I'm going to run quite wide here just to force him to back out, and he does. And he's really not happy about that, flashing those headlights in disgust. Into this corner, I tell he's angry. He goes for the big lunge. I see it coming on the radar. Cut him back. Am I going to be able to get the drive on the way out? Yes, I can, just about. Can I sweep in ahead? I have regained the position. I didn't think that was going to be possible, but thankfully it was. He went a little bit too deep into that corner. Into this one. Again, he's just braking a little bit too late. Goes into the back of me and spins round. And I was thinking I might have got a penalty for that, but I didn't. So I must say, with one lap left to go, this Alpha does seem to have a big advantage in terms of braking performance, but he's not really making the most of it. Just kind of putting his car in the wrong place and really not capitalising at all. And thankfully, all of this fighting has sort of backed him up into the pack behind, and he's been overtaken by that Hyundai. So I have one lap to go, or less than now, just to try to keep this position. And thankfully I don't have to have a massively defensive lap, as we have a 1.3 margin. So if I can finish third, I think that'll be a good result. The race was over fairly quickly in terms of getting first and second, as the top two just broke away very quickly. Our first laps really weren't that good because we were fighting a little bit too much, and we got dropped by the top two. They just managed to pull away. But we have a chance of securing a third place, which I think would be a good third place, as there was a very good chance we could have got swallowed up by the pack. There was a very big group of about 6 or 7 cars behind us in the earlier stage of the race. And it only takes one mistake or one banzai lunge from someone, or you just go wide a little bit once and someone gets past you, or maybe one penalty, you just go wide a little bit on one occasion, and then you're back into that pack, and well, you might well finish 8th or something. The guy in 8th place right now was the guy who started 3rd, so it just kind of shows you just one mistake and that's it. You can easily be swallowed up by that midfield. But on this occasion, I'll take this as a decent performance. Going to finish in 3rd place, and not too bad a race. Having to defend, having to be tactical, and eventually I just troll him a little bit by backing off towards the line and secure that 3rd place. So there we go. Not an easy race, and these ones with tyre wear I really do struggle, but I think that 3rd was not too bad. But that is all from me today, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in, as always. Just again, a massive thank you to just all my supporters on the channel. It does mean a lot that you all tune in and you're happy to watch the videos, and especially for those of you who made it to the very end of the video. But that's it from me. Thank you very much for watching. Have a nice day, and I shall see you next time. Goodbye.